Candice, I've heard a hell of a lot about the culture at Moore. I know it's something that's really important to you, to all, and the rest of the team. Why don't you take me through what culture means to you?
Sure, that's a big question. And it really is something that is close to my heart. I think it comes from my background and, the businesses that I've been involved in. And fundamentally, there's certain words that I think link to what our culture is within Moore. And I think having a business partner that I do in Oliver, off the bat, I can tell you that loyalty and trust are two words that, we almost like vowed that when we started, the business relationship, that it was a non-negotiable for us. And when we then look at culture, and I think people can feel it, is that loyalty and trust is there. Trust is from when you first interview someone and you can see that, they need to trust the process. I think a lot of people jump ship and start within our business. It's not known to everyone who we are. And when they do start, they can feel that there's something different. They can feel the energy of the business. It's highly entrepreneurial. It is fast-paced. It allows people to thrive in their own right. And, everyone has a voice. And those people's voices are listened to. And I think that's something that is different. Culture for me is when people come into the business that they feel that they are not just a number, that they are heard. It's that they get what they want out of life. It's more than just coming in and, sitting behind your laptop and getting the work done. It's what happens outside of that. And when I say that it's so personal to me, it's because I do care deeply for people. I actually put an article out on LinkedIn for someone who wrote me a card and thanked me for, what I'd given him in his traineeship and his journey. And not that I expected anything in return and I was just doing my job, but it's just being there. Being that support system is key. And I think that's what we've created at Moore, is that building an environment where people feel supported. I mean, you can imagine a bunch of trainees that come for their first day of work. They've never worked before in their lives. They need, as much as we are a professional business, there needs to be a little bit of nurture to get them to grow in their professional journey. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch more that I can talk about with culture because, one of the other words that I like to use is respect. I think in our organization, I don't think, top managements have ever had a heated debate where we've raised our voices to each other. We respect each other. And I think if you have respect in an organization, you can grow. I think that's a key element to being able to understand. I mean, we've got so many diverse cultures within our business. And if I can respect who you are as a person, I understand why you react to certain things. Hopefully I have the EQ to then be able to manage that because not everyone is the same and not everyone is going to work at the level and the intensity that I would expect them to. But as long as I can see that they are trying, for me, that's already enough.
You're a company that's grown exceptionally year on year, and certainly from inception to date. It's an inspiring story. What were there challenges as you scaled and grew in maintaining culture, and what were they and how did you combat them?
So I think when you grow so quickly, it's almost like I panic because I'm not as hands-on as I would have been in the past. So, it's knowing every single person's name that walks through the door is an important thing for me. I mean, when we had 30 odd people start at the beginning of the year, I had 10 minutes conversations with each of them to get them to know them better. But as we grow and we become bigger, that might not be something that we have, where I have the time
that you have.
That I have to have the time. But what we have done is we've got young professionals within the business and leadership who have taken on that responsibility to build their specific teams, and that culture is then relayed and passed down. So if I look at other challenges, when we talk about culture, it's, again, we're being very hands-on with new intake. If people don't fit the culture, I think you need to act quickly. And sometimes that's difficult. It's having those difficult conversations. Because if you don't have those difficult conversations now, 6 months down the line, it's even more difficult. So it's giving the leaders almost like the green light to say, guys, you don't need to wait for me to make a decision. We are giving you the power to make that decision. So when you need to act quickly and you need to remove people that are toxic to that environment, get rid of them.
You're empowered to do so.
Absolutely.
Do you have a measure of how well your leadership is doing in terms of maintaining the culture because obviously you and all are the authority in terms of what that culture is, and that's then obviously disseminated. Correct me if I'm wrong. What are the measures and what's the frequency at which you guys are checking that?
I think there will always, as you grow, there will be a slight shift in culture, and it's not the fundamental change of what the culture of the business is. But I think what we have is that we've got the mechanisms in place that if a trainee does feel that, the only reason why I joined here was because of the culture of the firm and something has shifted. I think we have the tools in place where I've had those conversations where people have been able to pop me a message. I jump on a call. I understand what they mean by when they say something has changed. And then I'm able to jump in and say, guys, we need to just pay attention. And again, through that call, that learning transition into that leadership structure is something that we've done. We've done other things. We have a directors forum where that's exactly it, equipping the young leaders with a tool, and we're very, very clear in what our communication is, of what our goals are, what is the culture of the firm, quality in everything that we do. Like, those are important metrics for the young leaders to ultimately take over and communicate to their teams, because I think that is a fundamental thing, is that as busy as we are, it's sometimes very difficult to communicate what that culture is. So it's giving the tools to people to say, are you having those one-on-ones with your team members? How are you communicating what our strategy is going forward? And then it's obviously Oliver and my job to say, well, guys, are you doing this? Is everyone aware of what our strategy is? And, as much as I think Oliver and I are control freaks in nature. So as much as we want to allow leadership to take over and run their different portfolios, we're still very, very hands-on and have our finger on the pulse with where the business is.
And that's, I think, is very telling. One, it seems that it's established as a part of that culture that you can communicate with the owner of the business and other levels of leadership if you feel the right culture isn't being achieved. So that's one big thing. And it's owner run and driven and supported, which is, I think those are two of the big keys there, which is great. What are some of the positives at a business growth level, at a client experience level, and for staff members as a result of the culture you guys have created?
I think people walk into our building and they can feel that energy. Clients walk into our building and they can feel that energy. It's a place where people want to be. I know you always give me a bit of a hard time to say like how hard everyone works within, the Moore framework, but they love to be there. And it's not a place for everyone. I've always said that Moore is not an environment for everyone. But if you do find yourself through those doors, it means that there's something different about you. You want to add value.
That's amazing.
You want to create more for yourself, for your families. I think that is a key aspect. And if you have a voice, and if you have an opinion about something, or if you want to start something new, they're able to have that conversation with Oliver and myself. And if we're interested and it makes financial sense, we will support it outright. And that's how we've grown the business.
Entrepreneurial spirit sounds like it's one of the cultural norms in there.
Absolutely.
And for clients, I mean, do they beyond the energy that they feel, is there any anecdotal examples of how that culture's won work, saved work, made a difference?
I think the human touch is a key thing. So if you know that they're going through something, and just being able to pick up the phone is something different. It's something that they don't experience. I think when we started Moore Johannesburg, I think in 2012, we overserviced our clients a lot. And it was a necessity at the time because we only had a handful of clients where everything about who their families were, we knew what they were doing on, like the weekend, and then you would touch base on a Monday. So it was very, very personal on that level. And I suppose as you grow, a bit of that is lost. But I try and instill that in the teams to say, we know that this client loves chocolate cake. Make sure that when you go there for your planning meeting, you're carrying a chocolate cake. Like those are key things that you can't lose sight of as we grow. And that's something that I'd want to instill in the younger leaders as well. Other things, when we talk about culture, I use the word quality in everything that we do. Clients can feel that. They can feel that there's a level of accountability, and the level that we audit is of a high quality, and clients can feel that. They can feel the professionalism. That's why they come to us. They come to us because we know what we're talking about. We're responsive to their questions. And obviously, we meet their deadlines that they've set for us.
Are there any aspirations as far as culture is concerned that you're specifically working on this year and beyond?
I think for me, it's what we've phrased for, this year's, our theme is stronger together. So that is what we focus on. Oliver always uses the analogy of just be lacquer. And it's not just about growing a business. Yes, we have high ambitious goals in what we want to achieve from a numbers and a revenue perspective, but it's not just about that. It's about giving back to the communities. We've got a lot of CSR projects that we run with throughout the year. It's making sure that when employees aren't okay, that they can put up their hand, and we're there to look after them. I think that's important. It's sometimes in those vulnerable moments is what it's all about. When people are sick, how do we support them as a firm? We don't just kick them out the door. It's like, you're really not in a good space. We're here to support you. You don't need to worry about job security. Like, it's okay. We'll get through this. And that is a differentiator for me. It's that personal touch.
That's amazing.
I think,
like a great place to be.
And when we look at what does the future hold, because we have such ambitious goals, it's making sure through our directors forum, we have young leaders shadow board that we're running with, that the culture of the business remains. It's an incredible place to be part of. It's unique. I don't think you would find what we have at Moore Johannesburg in many firms. And I wouldn't want it to change. I think it's something that is incredible, but just need to make sure that you have your finger on the pulse. Because if culture does shift, it's detrimental to the business.
That's amazing. It has been a really insightful deep dive in just a handful of minutes into the Moore culture. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.